Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Liverpool's five-star display heaps more pressure on wobbling West Ham. The contrasting strengths of Liverpool and West Ham are reflected on the balance sheet, the team sheet, and ultimately the score sheet. Arne Slot's side improved their prospects of Champions League qualification with a peculiar victory at Anfield, the winning margin far more resounding than the performance. In the week, Liverpool announced record overall revenue of £703 in their latest accounts, most of it ploughed back into the bank balances of a title-winning team. West Ham warned that players will have to be sold this summer whether they stay up or not, having suffered a £104.02 loss in the same financial year. Their prospects of avoiding relegation look bleak in the context of such a heavy defeat, yet, strange as it seems, Nuno Espirito Santo could take encouragement from elements of West Ham's display. The visitors had a better XG than Liverpool but found Alisson in fine form and the champions devastating at set pieces. West Ham must have known it was not going to be their day when their bus got stuck on a ramp while attempting to leave the team hotel. "If I say it was a good performance, I sound silly," said Nuno. "But that's what I saw." And yet this game was effectively over by halftime. As damning as that was for West Ham, they retained hope of getting back into the contest before Alexis Mac Allister extinguished it in the 43rd minute. The midfielder's brilliant volley was the third Liverpool goal to originate from a corner, as Slot's side continued their metamorphosis into the Premier League's set-piece specialists. Poor at defending them and scoring from them in the first half of the season, resulting in the departure of the set-piece coach Aaron Briggs in December, Liverpool have now scored more set-piece goals than any other team in the division, excluding penalties, in 2026. West Ham were defensively weak as Liverpool took their set-piece goals total to 8 for the calendar year. Hugo Ekitike gave the hosts an early lead after Alhaji Malik Diouf had cleared the first corner of the afternoon. Ryan Gravenberch returned a fine ball into the France international, who took his shot early and saw it nestle into Mads Hermansen's bottom corner via a slight deflection off Konstantinos Mavropanos. Both the West Ham centre-half and goalkeeper could have done more. The visitors responded well to their first setback. Matheus Fernandes and Crysencio Somerville were to the fore as Liverpool were opened up frequently, but West Ham could not find a finishing touch. Mavropanos scooped wildly over when a Jarrod Bowen corner landed at his feet, and Mac Allister worked tirelessly to cut out a dangerous counterattack led by Somerville. The threat from West Ham was growing. Then Liverpool scored another simple goal from a corner. Virgil van Dijk headed home Dominic Szoboszlai's delivery after bumping aside Soungautu Magasa and beating Tomas Soucek to the ball. It was the Liverpool captain's second set-piece goal in 3 games and his team's 7th of the year. Number 8 was executed brilliantly. Mohamed Salah took a corner from the right, Van Dijk flicked on at the near post. Ekitike cushioned the ball out to Mac Allister, and he volleyed into the roof of the net via the head of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The ball did not touch the ground from the moment it left Salah's foot. West Ham had their moments before the third goal, Alisson saving well from Soucek and gratefully from Bowen after hitting a clearance straight at the visiting captain, but were in for a long afternoon. To their credit, Nuno's side did not concede to the inevitable. Soucek reduced the arrears early in the second half when sliding in to convert Diouf's low cross. Anfield became noticeably edgy as errors crept into the Liverpool display, and both Fernandes and Somerville drew good stops from Alisson. But Cody Gakpo restored the hosts' 3-goal cushion when his low shot struck Wan-Bissaka and deflected into the far corner. West Ham responded once again when Bowen's corner sailed over a crowded 6-yard box and Tady Castellanos scored with a free header at the back post. But a late, unfortunate own goal by Axel Disasi, who deflected a low cross from the Liverpool substitute Jeremy Frimpong beyond Hermansen, compounded a punishing day for West Ham. "You're going down with Prince Andrew," taunted the cop. Slot reflected, "I'm very pleased with the set pieces, firstly because that is the reason we won, and secondly because we played okay to good. We've played better this season and lost. We've started scoring from set pieces and things look brighter and better than when you don't." Second news is how 11 Premier League clubs could qualify for Europe next season. The Premier League title race might be as good as over, but the battle for European places is as competitive and exciting as ever, with as many as 13 teams in with a chance of qualifying. A number of factors have combined to make it so open. The Champions League and Europa League are bigger since the introduction of the league phase, and there is a third European competition, the Conference League. The strength of the Premier League means an English winner of any competition will add to the number of teams in Europe next season. Mid-table in the Premier League is also incredibly bunched. Just 7 points separate Liverpool in 5th place and Bournemouth in 13th. It's the smallest gap between 5th and 13th at the start of April since the first Premier League season in 1992-93, when just 4 points separated Sheffield Wednesday in 5th and Southampton in 13th. Meanwhile, just 4 points separate 7th and 13th, the second lowest gap between those positions in Premier League history at this stage. Champions League. 2 extra Champions League spots are available for leagues whose teams perform best in Europe in the previous season, based on UEFA's complicated point system. The Premier League is all but certain to earn one of them, as it did last season, given that 5 of its 9 European participants are still in their respective competitions: Arsenal and Liverpool in the Champions League, Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa in the Europa League, and Crystal Palace in the Conference League. There's also the possibility of 2 more Champions League spots for English clubs, but that would require excellent results in Europe and poor form domestically from Liverpool and Aston Villa. They would need to win their respective European competitions and finish outside the Premier League's top 5, assuming the top 5 qualify for the Champions League. If they both do so, it would mean 7 English teams in the Champions League next season. Nottingham Forest could also qualify for the Champions League by winning the Europa League. Europa League. There are at least 2 spots for English teams. If the top 5 Premier League sides qualify for the Champions League, the team that finishes 6th and the winners of the FA Cup will be in the Europa League. However, if Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea or Liverpool win the FA Cup, which looks very likely, and they finish in a league position that would be enough to qualify for either the Champions League or Europa League, so the top 6, their spot in the Europa League will go to the next highest-ranked team in the Premier League who have not already otherwise qualified for Europe. If alongside the above, neither Liverpool nor Villa win a European competition while finishing outside the top 5, this Europa League spot would go to the 7th-placed team in the Premier League. If Liverpool or Villa are victorious in Europe while also finishing outside the top 5, the team that finishes 8th in the Premier League will qualify for the Europa League. If both of them win their European competition and finish outside the top 5, the teams that finish in 8th and 9th will qualify for the Europa League. Meanwhile, if Crystal Palace win the Conference League while finishing outside the top 6 in the Premier League, they will enter the Europa League next season. Conference League. Manchester City earned a place in the Conference League by winning the League Cup, but will finish in the top 6 of the league, so their spot passes down to the highest-placed team that have not already qualified for Europe. Depending who wins the FA Cup and how many extra spots are earned in the Champions League by Liverpool or Villa, the team that finishes 8th, 9th, or 10th in the Premier League could qualify for the Conference League. So 11 English teams could play in Europe. In short, yes, that would require Liverpool, Aston Villa and Crystal Palace to win their respective European competitions while also finishing outside the top 5 for Liverpool and Villa, or the top 6 for Palace. That would leave the 11 clubs split as follows: 7 for the Champions League, 3 for the Europa League and 1 for the Conference League. It's extremely unlikely. Realistically, how many will make it? Liverpool are unlikely to win the Champions League, and they are also more likely to finish in the top 5 than not. Aston Villa are favourites to win the Europa League but are even less likely to finish outside the top 5 than Liverpool. Palace are the favourites to win the Conference League, but it's still more likely that they won't win it. With all that in mind, it is more probable that no extra places are earned because English teams have won their continental competitions while finishing outside the qualifying positions in the Premier League. However, it is likely that 5 English teams will qualify for the Champions League, and a Europa League spot will go to the team finishing in 7th because a top 6 team wins the FA Cup.